Here I'm going to start the third groundwork exercise with Storm, who's my off-the-track thoroughbred. He's a little worried of the whip, so I really wanted to go over this lesson before we start riding him. So we're going to start right on his withers and just toss it over his back, and then I want to hit the ground lightly when I pull it off. So I want to start smacking the ground now in this lesson to prepare him for the next, but I want to start off with the least amount of pressure. And then depending on his body language, I'll increase it as long as he can handle it. So right there he moved a little bit, and then I stopped when he stopped. So first, if he starts walking around, just keep doing it. Keep tossing the whip over and off, and stay with him until he stops. Always stop when he stops. You don't want to stop before he does, or you're rewarding him. So I want to keep his head straight, keep his attention on me. I'm going to move on to his back. He's not too worried about this. His neck's a little tense. I'd like a little bit lower. But this is his first time with the whip, so it's not too bad. He's doing a little like half eye blinks here. I really want a whole relaxed, slow eye blink. The smart, slow ones, or the quick ones, are just him responding to the whip being tossed up toward him. And that's not a relaxation response, that's just a flinch. So we don't want to reward a flinch. So we just move on to his hindquarters. Like, I'm moving on pretty quickly here because he isn't running around. He's not super tense. Like, he's kind of in the middle. Like, he could use another session or two of this, but he's not running around or crazy about it. So when a horse does that, I kind of just go through it and move on to the different parts. But if he was running around, I'd want to reward him when he stopped and then start again on that part until he's consistently standing still. So there he blinks, so I rewarded him. We're going to do the hindquarters again. I want to make especially sure that he's okay with it on his hindquarters, because that's where I'm going to be using a whip once I start riding him. There he blinked, and I reward him. And I'm still occasionally rubbing him till he blinks just to make sure he's relaxed. There he blinks again. Start on his hind legs. The lunge whip is nice for desensitizing the hind legs because it can kind of wrap around his cannon bones and get him to feel a little pressure there. Some horses really don't like that, but it's a good desensitizing tool. I also like to desensitize the horses both with the lunge whip and with the stick, because they both have a different noise. They both have a different feel. So this one's more of a whip noise, and then the other one doesn't make quite the same sound. So I like to desensitize them to both of them. There he's looking away. I just kind of gently bumped him back. Really want him to keep his head straight. He keeps looking over there. I just bump once lightly, and then the second time I bump harder until his head comes toward me again. So he's looking off, bump light. Okay. So that during that time when he's looking away, I just keep desensitizing with the same rhythm, bring his head back, and then wait for him to relax. So he's not paying attention. I think he's a little bit bored with it on his front legs. But I'd rather have a little bit bored than a little bit reactive. So that was good on his left side. Move to his right side. In the beginning, I just move around him. He doesn't know how to move around me quite yet. I'll start again on his withers. And then I'm standing in the safe area, like right near his head, opposite of his shoulder. Right there is a pretty good spot. He can't really strike out and can't kick me, so I have a short enough rope where I can control his head, and I can yield his hindquarters away from me if he were trying to kick out at the whip. I can bend his head toward me if he was trying to run away or anything. And move on to his back. By now he's kind of getting the idea here. He's really not too worried. But he's also not shut down. His ears are moving around. He's looking around his environment. So we don't want him to shut down and just stand there and pretend that things aren't going on outside. Move on to his hindquarters. I want the whip to pop a little bit when it comes off of him, just so it's a little bit scarier since he's not too worried about it. I want to increase the pressure just a little bit. You can see with his right ear that it's kind of moving when the whip moves, so he's like following that sound. Just wait for him to blink his eyes. There he goes. And I'll rub him. If I'm rubbing him and he tries to look away, I just bump him back and keep rubbing until he has his head straight and then he blinks his eyes. Move on to his hind legs. And all this is really important to get him familiar with their tools because it's much safer for me to get underneath him with the whip and touch his legs and make sure he's okay with that before I go and try and grab his feet and do stuff with him because I don't know him. I just got him and I just start off doing groundwork with all of them. So it's just familiarizes him with all my tools before I start lunging him around. The previous owner said he was afraid of the whip, so I really want him to be comfortable with it before I start asking him to lunge, or he might overreact and just run away. So move on to his front legs. He really doesn't seem too bothered with it on his legs. This kind of lesson we'd probably do for a week. It depends on the horse. He's probably only going to need it maybe 1 or 2 more times because he really doesn't seem too bothered. And then we would just do this lesson occasionally. It works better when you do it with the lunging because then he's thinking about moving and then you go in there and desensitize him and it really balances him out. But we don't want to drill on this lesson either. Keep his head straight. He's thinking about it. He's licking his lips, staying relaxed. So it's going really well. Keep his attention on me when I bump him. There it is. He blinks his eyes. I'm going to stop. That was a really good lesson for him.